All right, so
I have to give you a little bit of credit for this.
Yeah, we can overdub it later. Just
Haven't had any crazy stories about. Oh wait, no, I do. I got robbed at gunpoint, mugged.
Checking for me, but I ain't checking for them. No.
sleazy real estate guys. But all right, so another episode of the EP podcast. We have a very special guest today. He's a friend of one of our previous guests that we had on the show before. Very handsome young man, well known by the ladies. Great athlete, great voice. A man of many talents. Ladies and gentlemen, please help me introduce you to Dan Vibez.
Yes, sir.
Dan Walsh. How are you?
I'm great.
Thank you
Pleasure
for coming
to be
on
here.
today, man. It's a long time coming. I know we've been talking about you being in the pod probably for now, like a year?
Yep.
Like a year?
I know
think
you
so.
want to blame me and say I flaked a couple
No.
times.
Did I?
Every time we're out at trolley.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, well, I probably just like giving you a hard time.
Yeah, I know.
Just for jokes and giggles.
Yeah.
But yeah, I want to touch a lot of topics. But before we do, ladies and gentlemen, if you haven't already, please like, comment, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss any episodes that we upload. But yeah, I want to go into things like your upbringing. I feel like I've never really gotten the chance to talk to you about those things. Mm-hmm. Every setting that we're always hanging out in, there's always like a lot of loud music, a lot of loud people, drinks, all the mix going on. I want to go into your basketball career, college life, what that looked like for you, because I know the college life looks different from the regular person versus the athlete.
Right.
So I want to know what that was like for you. I want to go into your now coaching career as well, because you coach basketball now, and also your music.
Yes, sir.
You do make music as well. So, like as I said, you do a lot of things, and a few other little fun things on the side too that I have towards the end.
All right.
You ready to dive in?
Yes, sir.
All right. So Dan, tell me a little bit about yourself. Who is Dan? Tell me about your upbringing. Where did you grow up?
So, grew up in Newcastle, Delaware. Family is originally from Philadelphia.
Oh, snap. Another Philadelphia guest.
Yeah, man.
Well, I think our last 6 Philadelphia has been like Philadelphia guests. Where in Philadelphia?
Southwest, I want to say.
Southwest?
Southwest,
Okay,
yep.
cool. All right. So what happened over there in Philly?
A lot of trouble from the uncles, mostly.
Okay.
Most of them went to Bartram High School, which is pretty well known.
For what reason?
For being not the best high school or area.
Okay.
But they left for that reason. So when they were there, it wasn't as bad as it is now. Family owned. My grandfather was into music, so that's what kind of helped me get going. My 2 uncles and my 1 aunt do like live performances. They have like their own little music band.
Okay.
Where they do covers.
So you have a music background.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so
I did not know that.
That's where it kind of stemmed from.
Okay. And so where did you go to high school?
I went to William Penn.
William Penn?
Yeah.
Okay. What was your William Penn days like?
They were good.
Tell me from a student perspective, what was that like?
A little difficult, of course. I don't know what I don't know. So I'm used to big classrooms, ton of people in the hallway and stuff.
Is William Penn a smaller school?
No.
Okay, it's a big school?
Yeah.
Okay.
So pretty much every year it's between William Penn and Cesar Rodney.
Okay.
That hold like the most student population.
Okay.
So
where did you lie socially? Were you in the cool? I always ask this question. Were you with the cool kids, with the kids that weren't really in the cool group, or were you somewhere in the middle?
Yeah, I was somewhere in the middle.
Okay.
Of who I surrounded myself with.
Okay.
But I would say I was one of the more popular kids.
Okay.
I made varsity my freshman year.
Nice.
So, the white boy that could hoop.
Yeah, okay.
That always came about.
Now this is reminding me of is this like a High School Musical type thing? He sings. He plays basketball. The white boy thing going on. Okay.
Yeah, man.
Okay, so
they should have just. I'm Troy Bolton, man.
Okay, so socially, you were up there.
Yep.
You had the athletic thing going on.
Yeah.
So the social thing just kind of came with it.
Kind of came. Yeah.
Academically, how were you? Like were you? I'll ask you this. There's another question I ask a lot of my guests is: were you more of like into your math class or your English class?
So, I'll start off by saying, growing up, I wasn't that great academically. When I got to high school, it changed. I think I was like high twos to start.
Okay.
GPA wise, and then like towards the end, probably even like halfway through my 10th grade year, I was like definitely consistently over 3.0.
Okay.
Never too high, probably 3.5 was my highest.
Okay. But even floating in the threes, typically what you find in high schools is you're either in like the cool kids,
Right.
and which typically
Not
means
great
that academically you're not doing well, especially if you're with the cool kids and also an athlete.
Yeah.
But you had all three going for you.
Yep.
So you were like a triple threat, huh?
Yeah.
Okay.
I knew how to separate myself, like, good balance.
Okay.
Like I had my friendships and more so associates that like I was just cool with in the classroom.
Mm-hmm.
But like outside of school, and then like when it came to business, like I knew when to like cut
Okay.
it off. Especially aspiring to be a college athlete.
Okay.
So I knew I had to, keep the grades up there so I could make my options as open as possible.
Okay.
When it came to the college process.
So looking back, not including the college side of things, looking back where you are now, looking back at high school, what were some of your biggest takeaways?
Academically,
Just as a student. Yep.
as a student.
Would you have done anything differently?
And I want to say no, because I'm a big person on like trying not to have any regrets.
Okay.
So I would say no. I tried to take an honors class my senior year just to challenge myself, and after the first marking period, I was out of there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Well, you did better than I did. I had signed up for an AP physics class and a history class just to set myself up to failure. That was a terrible, terrible thing.
Yeah, I wanted to try an AP course, so I started off with the honors, and it didn't work out.
Okay.
So
I hear you. Well, it takes, I feel like when you get to those kind of levels of academic, what's the word I'm looking for? Responsibilities. It would have to mean that you have to take away from areas such as like basketball, socially.
Yeah, for sure.
And a lot of the times when I've met people that have done that, they have found it not to really be worth the cost of it, whether it be socially, time,
Exactly.
athleticness, whatever it be.
Yeah, I would. I'm the first one to admit, like, I make sure my academics are done, but like I honestly don't put a lot of effort into it because I do value the other aspects of life.
So you're well balanced.
Yeah.
So you're very conscious of the different aspects of your life.
Yep.
Okay. So outside of school, while in high school, like what was home like?
Home. So I kept a very tight circle. My boy Thomas, that you know.
You known him that long?
Yeah, he's a neighborhood friend.
Wow.
Known him since I want to say 3rd grade.
Oh wow.
My
okay.
3rd grade, he was in 4th grade. So I knew him since then. I had 3 other buddies from the neighborhood that I really hung out with. There was only one friend really in high school that I didn't grow up with, that I actually hung out with. His name's Marcus. We got a funny story. So we met in 6th grade. I had to change my homeroom or my classrooms or whatever. So it was probably like the 3rd or 4th week of school, but a new classroom for me.
Okay.
So it was just one open seat in the back of the class. So I get put next to him, and the first thing he says to me is, "Yo, are you smart?"
Okay.
And I was like, "Not really."
Okay.
So and then that was like the rest was history after that.
All right.
So
what did you guys connect over? Just that small joke?
That small joke, we were like desk partners.
Yeah.
So we were both kind of struggling in that class.
I hear
together.
that. I hear that. You know, that's so true. Like, I think we've all experienced that one class that we had to take that we might have been struggling with.
Yeah.
I think, like, when you're in a classroom, the more you struggle, the more you're likely to sit in the back.
Yeah.
And the more confident and the more well you know you're doing, you're more likely to sit in the front.
Yeah, for sure.
So that definitely shows there. Okay.
Yeah, and then coincidentally, like he was big into sports,
Okay.
mainly basketball. We were 2 out of 3 sixth graders that made the middle school team.
Oh, nice.
So, and then it just kept, like, as the years went on, he kept playing, I kept playing. Then his 8th grade year, he actually ended up moving down to Dover. But we still, throughout high school, we always made time and effort to keep in touch and hang out every once in a while.
Okay.
So that was the one guy outside of like my neighborhood group. That was the one guy that like I really hung out with outside of school.
Do you still see him today?
I do.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay. Have I met him?
Nah.
Does he ever
he's
come
still
out?
in Dover.
Okay.
Yeah, so he doesn't come up here too much.
Okay.
But so actually around this time every year we go to the Bob for the high school playoffs.
Yeah.
Every year that's like our thing, and he actually just hit me up like the other day about it. So I'm sure he'll be up.
You guys will have a lot to catch up on.
Yeah, and then I definitely have to introduce him to you.
Please, I'd love to. So, do you have any siblings?
I don't. Only child.
Only child. Okay, cool. As am I. So, a lot of things, like with being an only child, they think people typically think like you're like the spoiled one, you know, by default.
Yeah.
Were you like a spoiled one, or were your parents very disciplined with you?
It was a little bit of both.
Okay.
I mean, when it comes to my mom, I was definitely spoiled.
Yeah.
Definitely spoiled, but she did a good job of having some balance.
Okay.
Yeah, teaching me right from wrong and stuff. So even though I was spoiled, so this is to go back in like my background in childhood.
Yeah.
My parents divorced when I was 5. My dad had to move back to Pennsylvania with his family for a little while. So it was really just me and my mom. We were talking earlier about our culture and stuff. So my Italian family, pretty much everybody moved from Philly. Mm-hmm. And my mom, my grandmother is across the street. My aunt is around the corner.
Oh, snap.
And then my uncle was across from her around the corner.
Really? So you guys were all right near each other?
All right near each other.
Dang, that's awesome.
Yeah, so although my mom was a single mom since I was 5, she was working 2 jobs. So she made sure she could spoil me, but she wasn't always around as much as she would like to be.
Right.
So I got helped raised by my grandparents who were across the street. Whenever she was working, I'd be with them.
Yeah.
So I think I was able to experience both, being spoiled, but also like a little bit of struggle behind it.
Yeah, I hear you. So with that, what were some of the values you grew up with?
Family, I think, is the most important.
Okay. What about family?
Just knowing that that's who you can rely on.
Okay.
When all hell breaks loose, like those are the ones that are gonna have your back. You know, being right there, I could walk to my aunt, walk to my grandparents, and just seeing that dynamic. Mom's got to do what she's got to do. She's not gonna be around, but you got your grandparents right there that are gonna help.
Yeah. So family.
Yeah. And then my dad, you know, sacrificed and made his way to, even though he was an hour and 45 minutes away, still came down once a week to see me. Yeah. To still be around. As a lot of us know, like not many father figures are a problem. Yeah. To this day. So very fortunate that mine chose to stay around and be involved.
Definitely. That's definitely one of the big problems today. Yeah. And you see that a lot in society where the father is missing in the child's life growing up, and it kind of shows later down the road. Yeah. Reminds me, when I lived in Ecuador, up to when I was 8 years old. And my father would work here since he was in the U.S. since he was 18. So he was working here like 10 years prior to me even born, I believe. And he would come down and see me and my mom, I think, like maybe because his job would have slow seasons during the winter. So during the winter, he would come down and see us for like maybe like a few days in the week. So I totally get where you're coming from that aspect, because who knows where I would have gone, if that father figure wasn't there.
Right.
Now, I would say the benefit of being mostly around your mom, it makes you conscious of a lot of like, I would say female things that probably otherwise you wouldn't be exposed to if you were more exposed to your dad.
Yeah.
Which I would say, like, as an adult now, it kind of helps with the ladies, right?
Yeah.
Right.
To an extent, I would say.
Right.
Yeah.
So, so at least with the ones that did have a father figure around, but okay, I see what you mean. So I definitely can understand what you mean. So diving into the athletics part of your high school days, you got into basketball.
Yep.
You performed really well.
Yeah.
So tell me, walk us through that.
Okay, so like I mentioned, I was able to make. So I started off on JV to make the team, and then probably like 2 weeks into the season, before any games started, coach moved me up to practice with varsity. I was getting a few minutes early on in the season as a varsity player, and then we had like some drama, people getting kicked off, quitting. So then the second half, I became a starter on varsity and had a pretty big role. And so there was high expectation going on into the next year. 10th grade, I was our team leading scorer, averaging 10 points a game. Then the next year, I just kept progressing as a player. And the team success improved as well each year. We went from a 2-18 team my freshman year to being tied record wise for being number 1 in the state my senior year.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So it was a long journey, but we made it there.
What do you think attributed to that, other than you progressing your skills, and what was it, like the coaching, or what do you think it was?
I want to say coaching and just the talent aspect. We started getting better kids. My early on years, I don't, not to bash anybody, but I want to say that those.
What's her name?
I want to say those people weren't as like dedicated to the sport.
Right.
They let like a lot of that outside stuff alter that. So more people that were just dedicated and bought into the culture rather than just out there playing basketball.
Okay. What do you mean by the culture?
So when it comes to sports, like you gotta be bought into whatever it is that the coach is saying. Okay. Whether it's right or wrong, even if it's wrong, if everyone's bought in, you can make it work.
By bought in, do you mean like sold into the idea that the coach is, the vision that the coach is selling to the,
a lot of discipline, like a lot of things that like you read a lot, you're very knowledgeable, a lot of things that you probably read and take into your everyday life, same thing you got to take in to have success, like discipline, sacrifice, accountability, all of that stuff, like kind of builds a winning culture.
Okay.
And being selfless rather than selfish. So we were getting more of those guys.
Okay.
To be in that and family and to build the culture, and it translates to winning.
Okay. Wow. Yeah, that's big. I mean, when you have those in any organization, I would say
exactly
you have a culture of champions.
Yeah.
Okay. So, what were some of your highlights aside from the ones that you just shared with us in the sport in high school?
In high school,
some of your favorite moments.
Yeah. So, I want to say 10th grade year, we had a big game against Appo. We were probably down by like 20 at halftime.
Okay.
And then we made a crazy run. I was a big part of it.
Okay.
I still have clips of it, and it is really, really good confidence booster being so early on in your high school career. Yeah. And then I think my entire senior year was like to remember. Mm-hmm. The school culture was even bigger. We got a new principal my junior year, and he was like really big into athletics. advertising, advocating for it. And so we finally had like a student section my senior year.
Okay.
Right behind the basket. Games were more packed because we were winning. So so that helped. And then we were winning games. We were beating big teams. You went from losing pretty much every game to now you're like you're beating all the big name teams in the state.
So the momentum is picking up, the confidence picking up, like the energy is just shooting off the roof.
Yeah. So a big thing for basketball in high school, Delaware, is making it to the Bob.
Okay.
A long time ago, it was usually the Final Four was at the Bob. Then they changed it to the quarterfinals, the Final Eight. So my high school hadn't been to the Bob, I think, since they won the state championship in 2009 or 2010. So 2016, my senior year, we actually made it to the quarterfinals. So that was a big accomplishment and big memory for me. Unfortunately, it's probably still to this day one of the longest games at the Bob.
Okay.
Triple overtime.
Jeez. Dang.
And we were on the bad side of that one.
Oh man. But hey, you live to tell it.
Yeah, exactly.
You live to tell it. So even though you didn't come on top, it's still the memory there.
Yeah, for sure. It was bittersweet.
Yeah.
But definitely good.
Was that the send off for your high school basketball career?
That was it.
Okay.
Yeah.
And just going into your college career, where did you end up going to college? Now, did you get scouted into like your college, or how did that happen?
Yeah. So I went to camps in the summertime previous to my senior year. All Division III schools. Not that that's a bad thing. I'm the last person to, but they don't have any athletic scholarships for Division III. So I want to say like right around the basketball season ends in late February, early March. I love telling this story too, just to like show how social media has impacted.
Okay.
I get a DM.
Really?
Like one day in January. So like the season's almost over. It's the head coach from Wilmington University.
Okay.
Which is where I ended up going. Head coach DMs me. He's like, "Hey Danny, this is Coach Burke. Like, heard a lot of good things about you. Blah blah blah." Basically showing that he's interested.
Yeah.
So he ended up coming to a practice, I want to say, and then he had assistant coaches come to some games. And
did he just see your stuff on Instagram or something, or he just happened to be at a game?
I want to say from some news outlets.
Okay.
I think like right around my sophomore, junior year, things started to pick up on the what would you like things that are like online.
Scouting, recruiting,
like articles. Like they would do articles for like sports and stuff.
Okay.
And I want to say that's how he probably heard about me. There's things like 302 Sports now that do a lot of coverage. So I want to say he heard from me from about that way, and just seeing my name pop up. Probably, I mean, being involved in the sport, he probably has like people.
Yeah.
That have seen me and
just told him about you.
Yeah, just word of mouth probody.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that was your introduction to Wilmington.
Yep.
I mean, I'm sorry, to where you went to Wilmington, right?
Wilmington.
I'm sorry. Yeah. Okay.
Yep. A DM. He slid in the DMs.
And what happened from there?
We just kept in contact. I started to show more interest. He started to show more interest as he finally got to check me out. One thing that he even mentioned to me, my head coach from WilmU, he at the Bob that final game, we were obviously struggling as a team because we had, it was Delcastle who we lost to.
Okay.
And we had beaten them twice in the regular season.
Oh snap!
Yeah.
Oh, that probably really hurt. Oh man.
Yeah.
Sheesh.
Yeah, definitely a game we should have won, but so he mentioned, I think that might have been his only game he could actually see.
Okay.
But he said he loved like when shit was hitting the fan, he and we were starting to get down to that stretch where like you know every possession counts. He like all plays were out the window.
Yeah.
And like it was just like me, somebody come set a pick and like let me do my thing, let me work.
Right.
And like he saw that, and then that gave him, that was like the sign the deal. Right
Okay.
there.
Okay.
He seen that I could take the pressure, come through in a big time, and like put the team on my back when it was needed. So that was like kind of the seal the deal right there.
Okay. So is that interaction with that coach ultimately what drove you to WOMU?
No, honestly.
Okay.
I want to say because it was local.
Okay.
Because it was a Division II that could offer me athletic money. It was just the best financial fit for me.
Okay. What do you mean by they could offer you money?
So, at a Division II and Division I, like you can go scout and you can say, hey, I want you. Here's however much money, however much the team has in budget.
Yeah.
They can say, here, we'll give you 100% full ride. We'll give you 50%.
Oh, snap. Okay.
So I started on the lower end, but thankfully WOMU isn't too expensive.
Yeah.
So I started off, and then each year the scholarship went up for me.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah. But on the other hand, Division III, they can go scout you and say, we want you to come to us. But we don't have any money to give you. You would have to go through like FAFSA.
Right.
And do like your own little apply for scholarships.
Right.
But nothing that they can physically give you.
I hear you. So, okay. So financially it made sense. It was Division II.
Yep.
And you got to continue playing the sport.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah,
so tell me about your WOMU days. What did those look like academically? Let's run that by.
Academically, I want to say I excelled compared to previously.
Why is that?
Most of it is the way they structure their classes, which is really great.
Okay.
They do block scheduling. So instead of taking a 15-week semester course, you could do 7 weeks, but it's double the time in person.
Yeah.
If you decide to take it online, which they're well known for, it's kind of just like more work in 7 weeks.
Okay.
So that's what I ended up doing. I started doing the block classes online.
Yeah.
So I didn't have to waste time in person. Not waste time, but not have to exert time in person and then have to go do assignments outside of the class.
Right.
The way the online worked is it would open on Monday. You're given your assignments and it's due Sunday night, 11:59.
So it was very flexible.
Very flexible, and it's only a seven week course instead of 15.
It's a very short semester.
Yeah. So in that aspect, the way I would schedule my classes to give me the advantage during the season. So typically you take 5 classes, 15 credits. I would do 3 blocks in the first half when we're like in preseason, only going like 2 days a week, 2 to 3 days a week. And then in the like heart of the season, I was only taking 1 or 2 classes.
Oh, okay.
So it made it easier for me to balance. And work.
That's very smart. That's very smart. Did someone advise you to do that, or did you figure that out on your own?
One of the seniors, my freshman year, like told me that. You know, we would go from a 7 a.m. lift or whatever, and then I would say, I gotta go to class now. And he's like, dude, you gotta get rid of them. Yeah, like you gotta start taking the online blocks. That's where it's at. And I was like, You know, I mean, I've never taken an online class prior to, so like the thought of it is kind of scary. It's dang, I got to learn it all by myself.
Right.
But it ended up not being so bad, and I also want to say my major wasn't the most difficult.
Okay. Which was what?
Education.
Okay.
A lot of it, at least for me personally, a lot of it was more common sense stuff on how to like control behavior, how to like manage a classroom. The only things I really had trouble with were like the actual prereqs, like math, world history, and stuff. Yeah. Which I ended up doing in person. Okay. For my first year and a half, but then once I got into the heat of my major, it was all online and it was pretty smooth.
So there you heard it, man. If you play any college sports, specifically basketball, and your school allows, 7-week courses, set them up for your schedule. Set them up so it works out for your advantage for your schedule. That's very smart. I never heard of that.
Yeah.
I imagine probably is it only basketball? What other sports go on during the season?
So winter, you have wrestling at some universities, swimming.
Yeah.
But wintertime's mainly basketball.
Yeah. So, hey, if you're in any of those sports, take the same route he did. It worked out well academically and for sports. Yeah. So academically, you were able to figure out, big part of it was because it was super flexible and on your time.
Yeah.
And how was, but here's also the thing, too. I don't want to just sugarcoat the whole thing. It's, you are taking a 14-week load just in 7 weeks.
Yes. Yeah.
So you are taking the same amount of work. It's not like it's less work.
Right. No. Yeah. It's just in a shorter time, so you'll get done it quicker in the long run. But yeah, it's still a little more intense. It's more intensive. Right.
And even when you're done with that first 7 weeks, then you jump over to your other 7 weeks, which yes, it's lighter academically, but then whatever it's not there academically is there with athletics.
Right.
So you're pretty much taking out from one box and picking up from another.
Yeah.
So you're having a busy thing regardless.
You're relieved mentally, but then physically,
right. It's a different thing, right?
Yeah.
It's a different thing. So how did that impact your social life?
So it definitely did take a toll socially.
Okay.
But thankfully, kinda, I was never like a big partier. As you know, I don't drink or nothing too much.
No, and I can vouch for that. I know he's like smiling as he says that, but every time I've gone out, Dan is almost never carrying a drink. Almost like I don't think I've ever seen him carry a drink. I've seen more people hand him a drink than him ever order a drink.
Right.
To be honest,
everyone's trying to get me to drink.
Right. So no, I know that from experience from seeing you, but just for the viewers, so they know that. So it's not all cap. Yeah. So how did it impact your life socially?
Yeah. So socially, to continue that, like I never really went out. Then my sophomore year, I ended up getting a girlfriend.
Okay.
So I never went to like house parties or college parties that we had.
Yeah.
I was always with the wifey at the time.
Hey-oh. Shout out old wifey.
Shout out old wifey.
If she's seeing this.
Right. But yeah, and then I think another thing that is important, which is I talked about regrets earlier.
Yeah.
It isn't a regret, but I do wish I experienced the other side of it. At WilmU, it's more so a commute college. We don't have any dorms.
Right.
And it's not like a huge university.
Yeah.
So I never really got to experience that part anyway.
Okay. Really,
the only people that hung out in the WilmU family were athletes. Because like a lot of people from out of state, WilmU has like partnerships with apartment complexes, so that they'll save them spots and stuff. So people would throw parties at their apartments, but it's pretty much just the sports teams and the athletes. So no huge bangers or
right. So like things you would see like in places like University of Delaware, stuff like that, like Dejas,
okay, none of that. So I think that worked to my benefit as an athlete.
But with regrets, you mentioned regrets. Where does that go with that?
I think part of me wanted to experience that.
Yeah.
Just to see what it's like. Say that you got to see it, be a part of it.
Yeah.
That's the only regret I want to say. But slightly, not like it doesn't haunt me to this day.
Right.
Just something I wish I could have probably experienced.
Right. Okay. I see. Just to get like a more full college experience. That's what you're saying. Okay. Yep. So you had a wifey at the time, so you weren't really in the mix with the ladies. I know how distracting that could be during college. Yeah. And you had sports, so that definitely helps out a lot.
Yep.
And you were locked in with academics and what's it called? Just like that whole thing. So you were school is like a job in itself, let alone athletics. And even being a boyfriend can be too. You know?
Juggling 4 jobs at the same time.
Right. That's at least if you want to be a good one.
Yeah,
right? Right. So were you working at the time or?
I was.
Okay.
These were cheesecake days.
Yeah, you working at Cheesecake Factory?
Yeah.
Over at Christiana Mall?
Yeah.
Get out of here.
Yeah, man.
Oh, is that how you know Mylan?
Yeah.
Oh, snap. And all the dots start connecting. Okay.
Yep. No.
Okay, so how did you end up at Cheesecake? Did you take a girl for the cheesecake at any time?
Actually, I never went there, but prior to.
So you guys never had a fights at Cheesecake?
No, we had fights plenty other places, but not at Cheesecake.
Okay.
Yeah, so I
How did you balance that?
It was a lot during the season. My workload was probably like once or twice a week, and then off season I was running it up. But yeah, I used to work at Champs in the Christiana Mall.
Oh, snap.
Yeah, that was high school days. And then they ended up letting me go because they wouldn't work with my basketball schedule. And then after that freshman year, I needed a job, needed to make money.
Right.
Funny story. So I went to Kohl's to work 6 a.m. in the warehouse.
Oh, snap.
Unload the car.
Yeah.
Unload the trucks.
Yeah.
That's what my friend Marcus was doing for UPS.
Yeah.
And he was raving about it, like how easy, good money, you get it done early in the morning. So I said, you know what, let me give it a try.
Yeah.
So I go first day.
I like that you keep an open ear to a lot of things. Like first it was like the school schedule change.
Yeah.
Then to like the coach reaching you out of DM, and now the warehouse thing too. Okay.
Can't knock it till you try it.
Okay, there you go.
So on the application, it doesn't say the rate, the hourly rate.
Okay.
But I'm thinking, it's 6 a.m.
Yeah.
In the warehouse, got to be decent. First day I get there, I find out it's $9 an hour. Okay. Which is pretty much minimum wage at that point.
Yeah, right. And what year is this?
This is 2016, 2017.
Okay.
So I think minimum wage was like $7.75. So I'm talking $9. I'm like, not ideal for what I'm waking up all early,
right,
on top of school and everything,
right.
And then I actually started to do the job, and dude, I was so like to explain the job, like you start, mind you, they didn't have an electronic conveyor belt or assembly line, right. So I'm taking things off, and I gotta actually physically move it, and we're short staffed, which is why they're hiring me. So I'm doing all this. They're rushing me on my first day.
Yeah. Oh, you're in the weeds.
Oh my god! As
they say.
And then like the deeper you get into the truck, the darker it gets. Yeah. So now you're like you can't see nothing. Like you're no sunlight or anything. So, long story short, that was my first and last day. Yeah. And, okay. And I'm telling myself, like, on my lunch break, I'm like, dude, I could be a freaking host at a restaurant and make this much money, if not more. Right. That's exactly what I did.
There you go.
I quit and went and became a host at the Cheesecake Factory.
Okay, I see. Okay. So, leaving the workspace while you're in college, I want to focus more on your college basketball career. Yep. Right? What was basketball at that time then? Was it as competitive as you experienced it before in high school? What was it like?
I want to say way more competitive at that level, especially being a smaller guy. Yeah. Delaware, I've always said this, there's good talent in Delaware, just not a lot. Yeah. So teams weren't always that great, but there was always like diamonds in the rough. Right. Like, schools would have like one really good player, maybe two. But then you get to college at that level, and it's just like everyone was the star at their high school. Right. So now they're all on one team, and it was a challenge. To go into it though, my freshman year, we ended up 4 games into the season. We ended up playing the number 9 team in the country. Okay. Which was Shippensburg University. I played a few minutes, probably like 14, 15 minutes, the first 3 games. Then our star player goes out with an injury. Oh, snap. From practice. Yeah. So I get thrown into the starting lineup, 4th game into my collegiate career, and we're playing the number 9 team in the country. Oof. one of the best games of my college career.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that really set the tone for me for like the rest of my college career.
Yeah.
I ended up having 21 points.
That game?
Yeah.
Oof.
21 points that game, and the game winning 3.
Yeah.
To give us the win over team.
My man.
Yeah. So I always say I think that game set the tone for me. Like if I can perform like that against one of the best teams in the country, there's no excuse for any other game.
Right.
Obviously you're gonna have bad games, but
Right.
it just gives you that confidence to fall back on.
Okay. And what did the rest of the season look like? Of your career look like?
Rest of my career, it was good. Similar to high school, every year I kept going up points per game.
Yeah.
My role increased each year. I want to say I was a captain my sophomore year, junior, and senior year. Every year we made the playoffs.
Nice.
So got to experience that. My junior year was probably the best success that I've had and that the team had. We drove 4.5 hours on the road for an away playoff game against the number 1 team in the conference.
Yeah.
That was probably the best game of my career. Yeah, it was.
Why is that?
I had 7 3-pointers.
Oh, man.
7 3-pointers. I had like 27 points for the game.
Wow.
And we upset the number 1 team in the conference. Another funny story for that one.
Tell me.
So prior to the game, we do our team meal. Coach chooses a barbecue place.
Okay.
Not sure why.
Okay.
So my young and dumb self orders a
oh, man.
a barbecue.
This is before a game.
Before the game.
Oh, man. Oh, jeez.
Barbecue pulled pork sandwich. So that's probably like 2-3 hours before the game. By the time we're in warm-up, I'm telling you, I can't even stand up straight.
Really?
So I'm going into the game like, yeah, this is gonna be a bad one.
Yeah.
It's gonna be a bad one. Like I can barely jump for layup lines and stuff. And then it ends up being the best game of my career. So
that ended up being your secret every game after that.
Yeah, barbecue poop.
Okay.
Do whatever I can to make my stomach hurt.
Right. Okay. Oh wow. Okay.
But yeah, it was funny.
So what were where did that end up leading you to in terms of your college basketball career? Because it sounds like you had a great high school, college basketball career. I mean, great high school basketball career as well as a college one.
Yep.
So what was the move from there?
I knew basketball wasn't realistic for me to play after. I could have played overseas if my body would have let me, but still overseas is a work itself. They treat it strictly as business. If you're not healthy, you could be playing great. You could be averaging 20 points a game for a month. If you get injured and you're out for the season, they send you home.
Really?
And you're no longer, especially as a foreigner.
Yeah.
Because they only have so many spots for foreigners.
Right.
So if you can't produce for them, they got to open up a roster spot.
Snap.
And the money's not there.
Right.
People have like a false, or just don't know as much as they should about playing overseas. Like people think, oh, you're overseas, yeah, but you're probably living paycheck to paycheck.
Right.
Unless you're in like one of the upper leagues, which I knew I wouldn't be. So I knew that like halfway through my college career. So I kind of deaded that aspect. I always wanted to be a coach. I didn't think it would be this soon.
Yeah. So yeah, you did your basketball career. You came to terms with this is not something you wanted to do afterwards, or at least to that kind of level.
Right.
And then you landed a coaching spot.
Yeah. So the story behind that one is the head coach that I work for now. Yeah. Her daughter played on the women's team at one point. So the women would play before us, and then we would play after. So she's seen me play a few games, and it just worked out perfect, like the perfect timing. The head coach that is there, she had just finished her first year as a head coach. Yeah. And she wanted to funnel out her current assistants. So she found one, a full-time assistant, and then they were looking for another one. So she's sitting down with her daughter, and she's like, help me find somebody. Like, I know you know somebody.
Yeah.
So her daughter ended up reaching out to me and was like, hey, Danny, like, is it cool if I give my mom your number?
Yeah.
She's a college coach. So I'm like, yeah, sure. And then it was history from there.
Yeah.
I never thought I would do women's coaching.
Yeah.
But here I am, and I will say that I really do enjoy it. Especially at the college level where there's more talent. And everybody always asks me this, like, what's the difference between coaching or being involved in men's and then women's?
Yeah.
Women, they actually want to learn, and they actually listen.
Oh, okay. Okay.
They actually listen. Could be contrary to what we experience in relationships. Yeah. They don't always listen in that aspect. Okay. But when it comes to basketball, they definitely listen a lot better than the men.
Yeah. I could see Danny being the one good looking coach that all the students envy, because they, especially if I was a student at that college and my girlfriend was in the basketball team, I'd be like, here with that coach again. Oh my God, Coach Dan, Coach Dan, Coach Dan. Want to give me some pointers? Okay.
Just to clarify though, I don't do any of that because I
very professional.
This is what I want to do.
Right.
I want to be a head coach at some point, hopefully sooner than later. So that's what I want to do. Right now, I'm in school counseling.
Yeah.
I just finished my master's with that.
Congratulations.
Thank you. So I just finished that. I'm doing that now until I can find something that's manageable.
Yeah. So one of the questions I want to ask you in regards to about coaching is, do you think in order for one to be a coach, they need to actually have like the background you had in the sport? Or do you think one could go into it with just having the know-how of the sport, of what they've seen?
I want to say if you played and you had a good career, it makes it easier and more intriguing to have you to have like an employer have you as a part of their staff. Because if you had success, chances are you know how to you know all the right things to do.
And the reason why I ask that is because there's a lot of players who can be really good but really bad teammates.
Yeah.
Just how there's a lot. Yeah. So like stuff like that, right?
Yeah. So, and then on the flip side of that, a lot of people have said that some of the best coaches weren't the best players.
Right.
But they still had that background.
Right.
There are a few outliers that, you have love for the game and you're knowledgeable.
Yeah.
Just the skill was never there for you.
Yeah.
But like you could be really smart at it. There's a head coach in the NBA, Eric Spoelstra for the Miami Heat. He started off, I guess, I don't know if that was his major in college, but he ended up being like the video manager for the team. He would like record practices and games and help do the breakdowns for that.
Yeah.
So he started off like that. Like he never played, I don't believe. And then now he's the head coach. He's won several championships.
Okay.
So it's definitely possible, but I do think like being a good player, having a good resume, helps you get into that position.
Okay, so then where are you coaching again?
Swarthmore College.
Okay. Why should the ladies in the team listen to Coach Dan? What makes you a coach, a dependable coach, a leader to follow? And like you said before, why should they buy into your vision?
Mm-hmm. That's a great question. So I think I definitely try to be humble, but at the same time, like I've always done the right thing when it came to being a player. Not being selfish, doing everything that we talked about earlier, having the discipline, selflessness, sacrificing things that you want to do for things that you have to do when it came to the team. And always having a positive attitude, And that on top of being smaller, I think like magnitudes the excellence in my opinion, because basketball is a game of athleticism and height.
Right.
So for someone being small and being able to have success, like you have to know,
right?
Like it's more up here than it is like physically,
right?
So that's what I try to tell my team now.
Is it essentially like knowing yourself and playing your strengths?
It is, and also, yeah.
And what I mean by that is what I think of right off the top of mind is when, like, you know how they say if you're blind, all of a sudden your other senses go up, stuff like that.
Right.
You know,
yeah.
like if you're not like you were saying, like you're not like the 6'6" guy, you know, all that stuff like that.
Yeah. So
you have to
everything else has to be better.
Right.
The things that you can control.
Yeah.
Those things have to be better. Like I was a pretty.
And you're just like 6'5", right? I don't want to play down your high, right?
I wish. I probably wouldn't be doing this podcast if I was 6'5". Yeah, so like shooting was a lot better. IQ for the game, being able to know when to pass, how to pass, how to break down a defense. Defensively, knowing how to do your work early so that you're not right under the basket and like getting bullied because of your size.
That reminds me, the way when you're describing all that, it reminds me of Steph Curry.
Yeah.
Does that align with that with
absolutely
his profile a little bit?
Yeah, for sure.
Because he's not big.
Yeah, no.
He's short.
Yeah, he's not super strong.
And he's like typically outside of the box.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
And he's definitely one of those once in a lifetime guys, best shooter ever. So he maximized that, and he's changed the game completely.
Okay.
But what I like to break down to finish that thought, there's a lot of greats. Not a lot, but there's like greats. Kobe Bryant, Dirk Nowitzki, Tim Duncan. Those guys play until they're 40 years old, and they're not even athletic.
Yeah.
It's because like they got this down.
Okay.
They know how to manipulate players, manipulate like things on the court, how to use their body,
right?
Just to create that little bit of space they need to get a shot off.
Yeah. I think I've heard of things like with I don't know who it was. It might have been Kobe. It was that he would step in this degree, move his body a certain way. It was like the smallest difference,
and
that made all the difference.
Literally, and that's what it is. And it's hard to teach that to somebody who has all the athletic ability because they don't need it yet.
Right.
But if they learned it, it would just take their game
that much up higher,
next level, and longevity wise.
So let me ask you this question: LeBron or Kobe?
LeBron or Kobe? I like that.
Okay.
Most people go LeBron or Jordan.
Okay.
People pass on Kobe. But to answer both questions, I personally take LeBron over both of them.
Really?
LeBron is my GOAT.
You're gonna catch a lot of heat.
I know. Trust me, I do. But I have my arguments set up for whoever wants to come.
Tell me about it.
So I think a lot of people say it's not fair to compare generations.
Right.
But I think it is.
Okay.
If you're going against the best talent, and you're having the same, if not more, success, like it has to be mentioned, right? I'll try and like put an analogy into racing. Like if you have a Mustang going against a bunch of Beetles, you're probably gonna win.
Yeah,
you should win. If you got some Mustangs going against some Corvettes, some Porsches, like now it's a little harder,
right?
And to have that success still, I think plays a big factor. I always bring up to people like, can you tell me the top 3 opponents that Jordan had to go against in his position? People get stuck.
Okay.
Or if they name 1 or 2, I try to say, do you think they would have success in this era?
Okay.
And the answer is probably not.
So this is where I'm gonna depend on my viewers here. So, because basketball is not my expertise, but I know you're going to catch heat for this.
I know I will.
So he is choosing LeBron over both Jordan and Kobe. And based on what he's saying, what are your guys' thoughts? I want to hear it in the comment section, please. And do not hold back.
Yes,
do not hold back.
Yep.
You better have something to say when they have something to say.
Good.
Yes. So on YouTube section, on Instagram section, all of it. Not on TikTok anymore. Okay. So who are your top three?
My top three.
Yeah.
I go LeBron, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, and then I throw Mike at 3.
Okay.
Which is very also
Is
controversial.
Kobe even in your top 5? Oh my God. Okay. Oh, man. Jeez. I've never heard someone not have Kobe at least on their top 5.
He can be.
He can be. On a good day. Oh, man.
It's hard for me just because like 4 through 9 could really all be interchangeable in my opinion.
Okay.
Like you could put that 9th person at 4 and I would be okay with it. So that's why I say he can be.
Wow.
Because I have him top 10 for sure.
Okay.
So like if someone puts him at 4 or 5, I'm not mad.
Okay.
I'm not
All
mad.
right. Oh my God. I can't wait to hear what people have to say about this. All right. So let's switch gears a little bit. I really enjoyed that topic. It's something I really don't talk to about people much.
Yeah.
So I'm glad you dove me into your world of that a little bit. Aside from basketball, coaching, you did tell us in the beginning that you have a music background, something I never knew.
Yes, sir.
But it's not just background. You actually do music yourself.
I do. Yep.
And people know you in the music world as Dan Vibez.
Dan Vibez, yep. Even so,
yeah.
To take it even further, I told you I'm big into cornhole right now.
Yeah.
So my cornhole name is Dan Vibez too.
Really?
So everybody always calls me Vibez there as well. And now they're starting to experience my music as well.
Oh.
Because I'm starting to add people on Facebook. They see, so the Vibez is catching on.
The Vibez is catching on.
Vibes are catching on.
Okay. So tell me about that. Why? I'm getting it now of where it kind of came from.
Yep.
But what said, all right, let me pick up a mic, let me write down or whatever it is. What started that?
I love telling this. So one of my closest friends to this day, Dawson, who wasn't a neighborhood friend, but we met in college.
Yeah.
He has a very outgoing personality.
Yeah.
And I was usually very conservative, laid back. And
Introvert, extrovert type of thing?
Yes.
Okay.
So he pulled that out of me. I give him credit to changing my whole attitude and how I carry myself. He definitely made me more extrovert and more personable.
Okay.
So to add to that, we had the same favorite artist who was P&B Rock at the time.
Right.
So we liked his music, we would sing in the locker rooms and stuff and all that. In high school, I did digital media and I was exposed to GarageBand.
Okay.
So I had an idea on how to work GarageBand from high school. Then the iPhone 10, iPhone X came out and it had GarageBand on it.
Yeah.
So it was free. So I was dabbling on my own, right?
Was that the first iPhone that had GarageBand?
To my understanding.
Okay.
Yeah, it could have been one before.
That's funny because that's actually that's when I switched over to iPhone. I was Android until the iPhone X.
Right. Yeah. So I'm pretty sure that was the first one that had GarageBand. That was free. That came with the phone.
Yeah.
So I would do it on my own, mess around. Me and my neighborhood friends, we made some stupid songs.
Yeah.
Just messing around with the auto-tune, the reverb.
Yeah, everyone loved the good old auto-tune, yes.
Just seeing how things were sounding. But then hanging out with my boy Dawson more, we started doing songs together.
Okay.
And then we were dropping them on SoundCloud. SoundCloud rapper at the time.
Yeah.
And
it's been around forever, dude.
Yeah.
I remember they were thinking about closing it down a few years ago, and Chance the Rapper saved it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that. Wow. Okay.
Yeah, man. So we started doing that, and both of us were getting good feedback on the music itself.
Yeah.
And mind you, we were recording on the earbuds with the mic.
With the mic, yeah, right here.
That's how we were recording.
Yeah.
We getting good feedback. Obviously the quality could have been better, but we're getting good feedback. And then like more people were saying that I was sounding better than he was.
Oh man.
Right? Not dissing him, but like, he's got a pretty deep voice. So so just hearing the positive feedback helped encourage me.
Yeah.
So I started to separate. He was also losing interest in it as well.
Yeah.
So we started
to sound like a Tupac and Biggie story over here. Jeez.
Nah, that's my boy from life, man.
Okay.
Yeah, so I started like we put out maybe 2 or 3 mixtapes with like 6 or 8 songs.
Yeah.
On SoundCloud. And then I started looking into how to get it on like Spotify, Apple Music. And that's when I kind of like separated myself, because it also doesn't look as good like on your profile, like if you have like combined stuff with so many people.
Right.
So I needed some solo stuff anyway. So then I started releasing my own stuff on all platforms.
Yeah. When did this start?
COVID. COVID is when I dropped.
Okay.
But like previous to COVID is when I was like recording majority of the songs.
Okay.
To drop that first album. And the first album came out 2020 of August.
Okay. It's crazy how many things came out of COVID. We have had guests a lot of times here, like when you ask them about their projects or any endeavors they had, the most common answer I've gotten is COVID.
Yeah.
COVID.
Yeah,
okay.
People bored, so they
just
fine thing.
Okay. So you started dropping during COVID.
Yep. Again, getting good feedback and more feedback because it's more accessible. Everyone has Apple or Spotify.
Yeah.
And that's where they keep most of their music.
Yeah.
So seeing the plays go up from putting it out there. Then I was making connections. I was hitting up upcoming artists. Started to do songs with them. And the rest is really history now.
What genre would you say you're in?
I'm gonna say like melodic rap.
Melodic rap.
So like,
okay, we're talking like Take Care Drake, where he could be rapping at you and then hit you with like a random like singing.
Some sing, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So I bounce around all over the place. It's good and bad.
Yeah.
My last album was like strictly R&B.
Okay.
Like a lot more singing.
Okay.
And
this is Dan Vibez, Spotify, Apple Music,
everything.
Instagram, everything,
yes,
all platforms.
Yep. So last one was all R&B, love music. The previous one was like a little bit of everything.
Yeah.
Rap.
Yeah.
Singing. Some party songs.
Yeah.
I got like I don't know if you ever went skating, but for like shuffle skate, they used to play like these old techno freestyle beat songs.
Okay.
I did one of them.
Yeah.
Just to experience.
Okay.
Yeah, it's called
What's it called?
Called Dance.
Dance. Okay.
Yeah.
There you go.
So
fitting.
it's got like a funky bass line with
Okay.
it. Yeah. So that was fun. And then the one before that was like more like P&B rock.
Yeah.
Type of like catchy.
Yeah.
Hip hop.
So walk me through the writing process when you're writing lyrics to these songs. Where do you try to go in mind?
So I will say,
where do you dig in?
I will say, some of my songs are cap.
Okay.
And for any artist that says none of their songs are cap, they're lying themselves.
Okay.
You can't come out with that many songs and them all be real.
Yeah.
So, but for the most part, I will find most producers name their beats.
Mm-hmm.
So the beat will already have a name to it.
Yeah.
So for the most part, I try to go in that direction because it's easier for me.
Right.
It's already got a topic. And
it's already set in the stage.
Right, and I can kind of just paint the picture.
Yeah.
There are a few that I just come up from scratch, like totally disregard the name of the beat, and then I'll already have like a thought in mind. Could be an experience, or it could be just something I want to talk about that I haven't experienced.
Right.
But I try to put myself in that position.
Okay.
I think it's very similar to an author.
Okay.
As a reader, you try to put yourself in that person's shoes.
Yeah.
Same thing as like a musician. Like not everything I write about has to be what I experienced,
Right.
but I'm trying to experience
Right.
it. So
Kind of put it into existence in a way.
Yeah. So that's my writing process. It's always the beat first, and then it's kind of like humming or like just trying to find the catchy tune for it.
That's typically that's what I've seen in like a lot of like, I think some of my favorite videos to look at with a lot of like big name artists is like when footage comes out of nowhere like years down the road, when it's like when they're in the studio and like, then like the producer introduces the beat to them and they're like, oh snap, they're like feeling it
crazy.
and then next you know it's exactly that process. It's like humming starts and then like it's word after word after word. Next thing you know they're in the booth and they're just ba 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 ba. Yeah, I've seen a lot of those videos, and like even just seeing them, it gets you kind of hyped up.
It does, yeah.
Right?
It's inspirational.
Gets you amped up. No. I definitely know what you mean. What are your favorite type of songs to write?
I'm big on the love songs.
Okay.
I feel like anybody can relate to that.
Okay.
Doesn't matter, what your ethnic, culture, racial background is. Everyone experiences love of some form.
Yeah.
Whether it's good love or bad love.
When you write these love songs, are you? and it's I know this is a thing with like artists. It's like, are you thinking of anyone? Are you thinking of someone in the past?
And that's why I said some of my songs are cap.
Okay.
So there are songs where some love songs that really have no like experience behind it. Like I'm just making it up.
Okay.
But then of course there are that are about a certain somebody or a certain experience I had with somebody.
Yeah. Has anyone? Okay, I'll ask you the question two ways. Has anyone ever reached out to you? Is like, hey, that song sounds awfully familiar. Have you ever had anyone, any of the ladies, ask you that?
Yeah. So
okay,
not for them, but like I was in a 2.5 year relationship, so I was getting a lot of accusations.
Oh man,
that a lot of those songs were about her.
Oh snap!
I want to say majority were.
Majority were. Oh man,
majority were.
Okay,
but there were some that I can honestly say like, nah, that's not about her.
Yeah. Do you ever try to? Okay, and then the other side of the question is, do you ever try to like hint it at them? It's like, yo, like here's this song.
Oh yeah.
I
got there's at least 2 diss songs.
Okay. There's
at least 2 diss songs.
Oh man, where there's love, there's also diss.
Yeah.
That's diss love for you.
Yeah, but it's all real and that's what I like about the love songs.
Yeah,
like they can be, for me personally, they can be diss songs to that person. But there's going to be thousands of other people that can relate to that.
Right.
So, like, it's a best of both worlds kind of thing.
I hear you. What has been your favorite project so far?
It's tough because, like, my interest goes all over the place.
Okay.
Like, 4 months, I'll be, like, deep into the R&B vibe. And then, like, the next 4 months, I'm like, I need to get back to, like...
It depends on the season.
Yeah.
So during the summer, you're like, right. During the winter, you're like,
let's wind it
slow
down.
it down. We're going from vodka sodas to Pinot Grigio, Cabernet.
Yeah. But I'll probably say my first project that I released on all platforms, I'll say that's my favorite one just because it's nostalgic.
Okay.
A lot of it was new. A lot of those were all like first times for me.
Yeah.
In the music area.
But
also the quality wasn't as good as it is now.
I hear you.
So I think my newer stuff is better quality.
You've progressed.
Yeah. But
do you have any upcoming projects you want to share about that you have in the works?
I do. It's not almost done, but it's a blueprint right now.
Okay.
So I have a few I do think music is on the downswing.
Okay.
For my career, unless it takes off.
Okay.
But I want to do one more album, like all in, like try and make it my best work.
Yeah.
And then I also want to do a 302 album.
Okay. What do you mean by that?
So it'll have like either it'll have like a mix of my favorite like local artist, along with like the biggest names from Delaware.
Yeah.
And I just want to put a whole project together with all of them on there.
Oh wow.
And kind of make it like a showcase for Delaware.
Yeah. I think it doesn't didn't like Kanye, he did that with I forget what it was, like Cold Winter or something like that, where he had like all the rappers together.
Yeah.
Like I've heard of stuff like that. It really comes out crazy because it's like the Avengers of music.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I see the vision.
Yeah.
I see the vision.
And then to like, I don't know if this will ever happen, but I would love it too. I want one song. You know how like rappers do like ciphers. So I want like one cipher song of all the top names from Delaware.
Okay.
On one song, right? Get like one of the best, a collaboration of the best videographers.
Yeah.
From the state.
Yeah.
Even throw people's brands in the music video. And like, cause I think it's huge, like especially for our state.
Just getting the names out there.
Getting the names out there, like coming together.
Kind of like a freshman.
Yeah.
Like the freshman.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah. Same idea. And then like just
big names have come out of that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Big names. So if you could do that for Delaware, that'd be awesome.
I think that would be dope. The only like setback for that is people's ego. Kinda.
Okay.
Not that they wouldn't want to do it, but they would probably charge money.
Yeah. Yeah. I hear you.
And for me to do it by myself, to get all those people involved, it would be way too much money.
Well, maybe just sell them the vision, man.
I know. I did try, and it worked for some. It didn't work for others. So,
well, right here, to whoever's gonna see it, if you want to work with Dan or bring it together, the Avengers of music,
of Delaware,
the Avengers of music, and specifically Delaware, hit him up. Where can they find you?
Instagram.
What's your Instagram?
Danny W __. Also, if you just type in Dan Vibez, that's my name in the bio. So Dan Vibez with a Z should pop up. And
where can they listen to your music?
Dan Vibez. Dan space Vibes with a Z.
Apple Podcasts.
Apple, Spotify, YouTube, Amazon.
Can we see? Are some of the old ones still in SoundCloud?
Yeah.
Little hidden gems.
Yeah, I deleted the ones that I don't want heard.
Okay.
But there's some that aren't on all the platforms that are up there.
All right. Well, there you go. Well, like, okay, so that runs you through, that runs us through a lot of Dan.
Yeah.
Right? We went from your upbringing all the way to your music career.
Yep.
Looking forward to your future projects, and I hope someone reaches out to you about collaborating. We have been going for a while now. We're hitting the hour 15 mark. That kind of flew. Yeah, kind of flew, man. I loved it. It was very natural. Yeah, you did bring up cornhole. I wonder, because I know you really love that.
I do.
So let's close out on cornhole.
Yeah,
what's going on with cornhole, man? You're like an undefeated champion or something like that?
Not undefeated, but I'm making. So for those who don't know,
there's been many times where I've been out and then Dan shows up like at midnight. It's like, sorry guys, I was at cornhole. Like, what the fuck? Okay, on a Friday night.
Yeah, man. So for those that don't know, Delaware, and even the tri-state is very big and well known for cornhole.
Okay.
There's professional cornhole that is on ESPN and Sports Center.
Okay.
And I've come across some of those guys at these tournaments and stuff. It's just so fun. It's a great community.
Yeah.
And it's addicting because you get 4 bags, and to be perfect, you gotta get them all in the hole. And it's very rare that someone gets all of them in the hole every time. And their strategy, it doesn't take a lot of physical. And you can win money.
Dude, I got to tell you something, man.
Let me hear it.
Sorry, I'm having a little bit of an issue with this mic over here. I'm actually undefeated at cornhole.
Oh, gosh.
I'm undefeated at cornhole.
What, at the barbecues? At the barbecues?
Look, man, a record is a record. A record is a record. I don't care. Now, I will say this. It's not because of me. It's not because of me.
It's the guy on the other side of the board.
I'm like the Nick Fury of cornhole, right? I just find the best people.
Gotcha.
I just happen to come across the best people, and then I'm putting together a team of, like the Avengers, right? And then it's because of that. I freaking, you remember that one time we went to Constitution Yard? I played in other places in Florida. I haven't lost.
Yeah, okay.
Hey, man.
Listen.
Hey, man. So, hey, man, I might not be the one who makes the buzzer beat or whatever.
Right.
But hey, maybe my team
get the
will.
job done.
My team will. So I might show up to one of those. If you're ever hosting one, let me know.
Listen, they have one almost every day of the week.
Okay.
If you're free, we can head out.
All right. It's on site then.
It's on site.
It's on site. All right. Well, Dan, it's been awesome having you on here.
Absolutely.
I feel like this flowed really well. I really enjoyed hearing your story. Although specifically the values that you grew up with and how that went into your life as an athlete, now a coach, and how it's I think it's cool to see how you've taken your college basketball career to now a college coach, seeing how things have turned around, and how you're able to bring that perspective to the court.
Yeah.
So I think that's really cool. Really appreciated you having you on. Again, everybody, Dan Vibez on Spotify, Apple Music, Dan Vibez on Instagram. We follow him on our podcast page. So if anything, just go to our following page and then shoot him a follow from there. But yeah, Dan, we look forward to your future projects. Thank you so much for coming on.
Absolutely.
And
thanks for having me, man.
Yeah, thank you again. So everyone, if you haven't already, please subscribe, like, comment, and share. Turn on that notification bell so you don't miss any more episodes from guests such as Dan and many more we have coming on to the future. Until then, bye-bye, bye-bye, bye-bye.